Well, welcome to Monday Night Therapy with Jon and Todd. I have not heard from him. It is Monday night, right? They're playing Monday Night Football. The Rose Bowl was, the Rose Bowl was kind of an ass kicking. It was kind of surprising. But the Rose Bowl just finished a bit ago, and now my wife and son are watching the Bills versus, who is it, the Bengals? Joe Burrow? I can't remember. Anyway, hello guys. Welcome to Monday night. I don't know where Todd is. I haven't heard from him. We did have a plan. I mean, we had a whole thing planned, and I'm not sure what's going on. Hey, terrible, just terrible. Thanks for being here. All right. So, what happened in the past few days? Well, there were a lot of bowl games. We're going to start with the men basketball team kicking the crap out of Iowa, and they did kind of kick the crap out of Iowa. I guess, I kept thinking the other shoe was going to drop and we were going to fall apart, and then they did what they've been doing most of the season. They played good basketball. They played incredible defense. They beat the hell out of Iowa. It was kind of interesting. I don't know if Iowa's that good, but I don't know if the rest of the Big Ten is good, that good either. So, I mean, tomorrow is a test against Michigan State, and we won't have Blaise Keita, a big guy. I think Wilhelm Breidenbach has come along pretty well, giving some minutes, getting some rebounds, and getting some shots, and mostly irritating people on defense. And I think that the key to this team's success is irritating the other team on defense. They clearly frustrated Iowa, and that's what made it a good game. Oh my God, look, someone's here. Should I let him in late? Should I let him in late? My God. I have to calm myself. I have to calm myself.
Sorry.
Oh, what the hell? What the hell? Did we ask you to come down out of the mountains or something? You're looking much more serial killery than you did last week.
More serial killery? Okay.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Now, if you just got some of them Wilhelm Breidenbach glasses.
Yeah, that's what I need. I've got my, I do have my readers handy tonight. So those are not Wilhelm Breidenbach glasses.
There was a prominent, I can't remember who it was, a prominent national basketball writer that commented on Wilhelm Breidenbach and said, that looks like a guy who's thought about making furniture out of people's bodies.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's our guy. That's the guy we want as a big guy. Okay, I went over men's basketball beating up on Iowa, so we can now start on the next segment, since you're now here, Mr. Late Guy, and that is the... Did you want to say anything about your lateness? Did you want to give us any excuses?
Absolutely no excuses. No excuses. I apologize. I hate it when people are late. Just trying to wrap a few things up, and I kind of
you forgot about me. You forgot about everybody.
I forgot about everybody.
Shame on you. You kind of have this. You have this Scott Frost puffy eye thing going.
Oh, I tell you what, I've got bags in my eyes that I think you could carry walnuts in. Yeah. It's kind of...
Oh my God. I almost killed myself there. All right, let's move on. It's bowl. We're going to go over the bowl games, Todd.
Hey,
I don't think we have to go over all of them.
Oh, God.
We do have the list there. The Big Ten versus SEC bowl games 2022. I mean, the Big Ten started out beating everybody, and then when it came to the big bowl games, they just they had a chance of getting two teams into the college football playoff national title game, and they
But
didn't. Oh my God, Matt Hansen says a Buffalo Bill is being given to CPR has been down for 9 minutes.
oh my
That's
gosh,
horrifying.
yeah, yeah. Shoot. Well, for the first game, that we have on the list, I'm not sure Iowa beat Kentucky. You don't beat a team when two of your touchdowns are pick sixes. I mean, Cooper DeJean, he's an incredible player, but Iowa is so pissed. Kentucky did not want to play. I mean,
You
it's
don't
just
think
kind of
so?
like no, and it's kind of like Purdue today. They didn't even want to show up, and that sucks because they had maybe a dozen fans that went to watch the game from Kentucky, and so those people spent some of their hard-earned money to watch that disaster. That was pathetic. And I'm not one of these guys, and I know maybe that's a debate that we can get into. I'm not a cheer for the Big Ten for the sake of the Big Ten guy. I mean, no, it looks nice at the end if your conference does well, but screw it.
You
I'm
didn't
not
cheer for
cheering.
Iowa? You didn't cheer for Iowa?
I will not cheer for Iowa. I will not. Under any circumstances, I will not cheer for Iowa.
I was going to put up
So,
some scenarios for you, but we'll just move on. Purdue gets beat by LSU 63-7 today. Did you bother with any of
I
that?
didn't even bother. I didn't watch any games today. I tried to get caught up on some stuff today. I watched a lot of games the last few days, but I saw that score. And Jeff Brohm's gone. Half the team decided to sit the game out. It sounded like Drew Brees
Why
shows up because
why didn't they just opt out of the game?
that's what I wonder. If you're not going to put a viable team on the field, I think that you should opt out. Now, people are going to say, well, that's bullshit. These guys can get some practice in, et cetera, et cetera. But, that was just a horrible performance by Purdue.
Okay. Horrible performance by Purdue.
Yeah, you need to tag some of these questions coming up. The
I
next
am.
game
I am.
next game you had on the list, well, we'll talk about the Georgia-Ohio State in a bit. Mississippi State beating Illinois. I kind of thought Illinois, and again, I didn't watch the game today. I just kind of followed along with some notes. I kind of thought Illinois might play better than that.
Yeah, but Chase Brown was gone.
Well, Chase Brown was gone, but I guess Chase Brown has been a big part of their offense. And again, opting out because he's going to the NFL. And you know who didn't opt out?
Alabama.
Alabama players. Three Alabama players, including the Heisman Trophy winner from a year ago, Bryce Young. They all played. I'll tell you what, I'm sick of this crap of players opting out. And I know, I've caught hell for it when I've posted that on CornNation from people. They're only acting their self-interest. And what about that quarterback from Ole Miss last year that chose to play and then he got hurt, and maybe he got knocked down in the draft a little bit. I don't give a crap. You make a commitment to your team to play football through the season. I think it's just garbage. If there's some way you could punish those sons of bitches that decide not to play, I wish they could do it. I think it's kind of the same way where coach from Virginia Tech had a video out, and apparently there were a couple of players that went into the portal that wanted to play and in the bowl game, and he said no. And I agree with that 100%. They're out the door. You go into the portal.
I mean, once you enter your name in the portal, it's kind of like, why are you going to waste my time anymore? I'm going to put it toward these guys that want to be here.
Exactly. And I can't remember, was it Oklahoma? Another team had guys in the portal and the coach wanted them to still play and they didn't play. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. My hat off to the Beamer guy. I guess maybe he's not at Virginia Tech. That was his dad. But yeah, you're in the portal, you don't play.
Were you sad for Ohio State?
Not at all.
Really?
No.
What?
No,
Todd's a cutthroat.
no, I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain it here in just a minute. But I think, I said before the games even started on Saturday, I was cheering for TCU and Ohio State. Those were the two teams that I was really pulling for. And I think, and I even went back and I tried to find it, I think somewhere I'm recorded as saying that I thought TCU could beat Michigan. And, not too many people did, but I just kind of had that gut feeling. So um, with Ohio State, did I feel bad for them? No. And the reason I didn't feel bad for them was you can't feel bad for a team that plays in a game at that level that is back and forth, back and forth. There and people want to say they would have won that game if Marvin Harrison Jr. hadn't got knocked out of the game. Probably could. But I didn't hear anybody saying that Georgia may have shut him down if that linebacker that was on the sideline for them that hasn't played in the last however many games because of a season-ending injury, that was supposedly, their best defensive player. I didn't hear people saying that, well, if he'd have been healthy, there's no way that Ohio State would have beat them. Get off that crap. It's the nature of the flipping game. Targeting penalty? Hell yeah, that was targeting. But how many times have we seen targeting, get called and we think, oh, there's no way that was targeting. And then on the flip side, probably more so than any other time, the other flip side is we see targeting calls all the time that go to video review or whatever, and for some reason they're not called. I'm not gonna be all pissed off because a call like that doesn't happen or whatever in a national champion. Get over it. That's the way things go.
But we'll come back to that in a minute. The targeting thing. Somebody else here. Okay, let me get a message up. DevNull 220 says sad for the kicker, not Ohio State. I did do a kind of a reaction video to a bar that dropped balloons right at the same time that Ohio State lost in Columbus, Nebraska, or Columbus, Ohio. But CJ Stroud went on that long run at the end of the game and got them in field goal range, and then they just did nothing. They did nothing to improve. Yeah, I just was shocked by that. I mean, they couldn't run the ball, but I didn't think anybody expected them to be able to run the ball against Georgia's defensive line.
No, and Georgia had an incredible team, an incredible defense that their team got off. As a team, they got off to an incredibly slow start in the first half. Stetson Bennett, I don't know, maybe it was just an off game for him to begin with, or maybe something was going on. But, they finally woke up. And Ohio State had no answer for the blitz other than when C.J. Stroud would run. I was frustrated at the end because I thought Ohio State could have put themselves in a much better situation to win that game rather than having that kicker, have to kick a 49-yard field goal. So I feel bad for the kicker, but you know what? They signed up for it. And that kid was, dreaming since he was a little guy in the backyard of kicking a field goal to win a ball game like that. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, Michigan and TCU. Any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I loved it. Exciting game. Two teams that just, faced off and were just knocking the tar out of each other the whole game. I was really impressed with how physical TCU was. They were more physical than Michigan, which I didn't think that was possible. Michigan's offensive line was recognized as the Joe Moore Award winners, or whatever that award is the best offensive line in the country. And TCU just made them look average for the better part of the game. I'm also biased. I've been a TCU fan ever since Max Duggan, left Council Bluffs, Iowa to go down there and play. And, Max Duggan was a quarterback at Lewis Central High School, which played in the same conference of a school where I was a principal for many years. I had left Creston when Max was in high school, but I've always had that connection. I've had very good friends that went to Lewis Central, and I've always followed them. They've been good people out there. His dad was his high school coach, Jim Duggan, and Jim Duggan was he was a coaching institution in Council Bluffs, first at St. Albert, and then he left, and then he ended up coming back to Lewis Central. And Max Duggan deserved the Heisman. He should have had the Heisman. There's no question in my mind. He certainly earned it. But man, what a story! I just love that game.
Matt Hansen says he was shocked by TCU's physicality. You know what I was shocked by? I was shocked by Michigan. Every time they brought pressure, TCU had the blitz, or would call a screen, call a delay. Every time Michigan brought pressure, they paid for it dearly with some big plays they gave up. And I just thought, well, just stop blitzing, stop bringing pressure. I mean, they're killing you. They outdid them in the chess match that was that game. All right, so Dev Null comes back. Dev Null 2020 says, the two college football playoff games prove that refs don't know what a touchdown is or what targeting is. Both games heavily impacted by the refs. What do you think?
I got a secret.
Oh God.
I'm gonna let this secret out. Every fucking game that exists is impacted by the referees. Football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, softball, they call them umpires in those games. Soccer, it doesn't make a goddamn difference what game it is. There's referees. They're human beings, and they are going to have an impact on the game. I had this argument with my dad when he was 70 years old, and I thought he was going to have a flipping heart attack because he was arguing the position that referees do, in fact, cause teams games. Bullshit. Bullshit. There are so many opportunities. There are so many different things that happen over the course of a game. Don't hang it on the referees. Do something to win.
Wow. Holy. Roger Moore comes back and says, brutal secret. Holy shit there, Todd. We're sorry that I don't know what that means. A brutal secret. I'm sorry that we did make you come down from.
I'm wound for sound, apparently. Those were wonderful games to watch. Was that a touchdown? For the Michigan player had.
I thought.
Probably. I thought it probably was, but he was sitting on his ass. He was sitting on his ass and did not have possession of the ball.
But you can sit on your ass and catch the ball.
I know. But when he was sitting on his ass and didn't have possession of the ball, he was not in the end zone.
He was like that.
He was not in the end zone until he fell back. I don't know. Maybe it was.
It was a touchdown. They got screwed.
Okay.
Gaboski isn't here. I guess Bob Maston says Monday Night Football has been suspended.
Is that suspected or suspended?
Suspended because they are apparently had a player with a medical emergency on the field. And
you know what? Isn't that something? My God. Yeah. I remember
Mike
vaguely.
Leach and, yeah.
I vaguely remember watching a game when I was a little kid. And for whatever reason, I remember it was the Detroit Lions. And there was a guy that died on the field.
And James Marshall says player might have died. Oh my God. That is the worst of it. They did CPR on me for a long frickin' time before they got me back to life. And
it says that what I see is the Bills-Bengal game has been delayed after Bills cornerback Darian Hamlin collapsed on the field and received CPR.
The good thing is that most football players like that are in extremely good shape. So,
yeah,
their chances of recovery from that are a hell of a lot better than, mine and yours. honestly,
Well, yes, and I'm going to absolutely remain hopeful that
that they come out of it.
that he comes out of this. Absolutely, absolutely.
And the
That's
NFL is not going to
horrifying.
show anything like that on live TV. So, and I don't think anybody needs to see it, honestly. You know, on a personal note, one of the things that bothered me about when I was in the hospital, nobody ever took any photos of me hooked up to machines. And my wife said, we did not want anything like that to exist ever. We didn't want to remember any of it. So there you go. All right, we're going to move on with the rest of this. Any more bowl stuff? Well, wait, Tulane and USC.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Did you watch it?
I didn't know. I didn't watch any games today. Well, you know what? Actually, I did watch a little bit of the Rose Bowl because I have to watch the Rose Bowl to see the San Mateo Mountains at sunset. There's nothing more gorgeous than that. And it was raining. I don't think it ever rains at the Rose Bowl. I texted my cousin who goes to a few USC games out there, and I said, I didn't think it ever rained at the Rose Bowl. And he says, well, if there's not California teams in the Rose Bowl, then it does rain. But USC getting beat by Tulane, I love it. I'm kind of like you, John. No love lost with Lincoln Riley, and I don't need to see USC. I mean, they got a great fight song. Their band is so cool, and they got the best damn looking cheerleader dancers. I mean, just holy smokes. But I don't need their football team to win.
Holy shit, Todd. Okay, here's the deal with USC. With 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, they had a 15-point lead, in the fourth quarter. Then they gave up a 2-play, 63-yard touchdown drive. USC responded by fumbling the kickoff and started at the 1-yard line. USC took a safety. I had to obviously give the ball back to Tulane after they took the safety, and gave up another 66-yard TD drive. I mean, it was phenomenal. I think, you know who won that game, Todd? You know who won that game?
America won that game.
Exactly.
America
Good
won
job.
that game.
Good job, Todd. You're coming over to the non-commie side finally. Maybe 2023 will be a fantastic year for you.
I love it. I wanted so bad to see Kansas State win against Alabama. I watched so much of that game, and it was nice to see Adrian Martinez get some snaps in that game and running the ball like, we watched him for 4 years. I mean, I'm so happy for him, but I just love it when a Tulane pops up and beats USC, a blue blood. Those things are just wonderful, wonderful.
Apparently, Rutgers knocks off #1 Purdue at home tonight, so that's a huge thing. They got it done, and we didn't get it done. Lincoln Riley. I guess I've always not really hated USC, but my favorite college phrase about other teams being bad is USC, and that is, you can't spell suck without USC. I just think that's it's so perfect. It fits together so well. But Lincoln Riley, I mean, the guy, he does the same thing all the time. He's like Bobby Petrino without scandals. He constantly does offense, and doesn't bother with his defense. And his defense was bloody horrible in that game. Okay. What else we got?
Well, did you see today? I know we're going to talk about a couple of, I guess let's move on to the next couple of items that you have on the list.
Okay. You're waiting for me. Another very important cog for next season for Nebraska football, announced his official return today when Anthony Grant, I believe it was on Twitter, said he would be back this year. That makes Anthony Grant and A.J. Allen coming back, and that's a good news. I mean, the more those guys that can come back we're going to be better off. The other big news. Well, do you have any comments on those?
No, I
I
think
mean, we
that's
have a
great. Those two guys, in my mind, Ramir Johnson looked good at the end of the season, and I think there's still a lot of questions about, what the hell was the deal with Ramir? Maybe he was hurt, but they didn't release that information. I don't know. But, the two best running backs from last year are going to return. And hopefully one of those young guys, I'm specifically thinking about the kid from Minnesota, Emmett Johnson. Hopefully he's got something going too. But that's definitely a positive that we have those two running backs coming back. No question.
that position group is stocked. The
Yeah.
other big news today out of Nebraska football was that Matt Rule has hired two more. Well, number one, he hired the tight ends coach, the coach from Texas, the high school guy that's won
Yep.
80
Wager.
bazillion games. Was it Bob Wager?
Yeah, I think so. Last name was Wager, Wager. Coach Wager. There you go.
There you go, Coach Wager. That's his official name now. That guy looks solid. Looks like, and then two more Panthers assistants are joining Matt Rule's Nebraska staff after the Saints game. Rob Dvoracek will coach linebackers, and Garrett McGuire will be the Nebraska Cornhuskers wide receiver coach. Both played for and coached with Matt Rule previously.
Does McGuire? I saw a picture of McGuire. Does he have to graduate from high school before he can coach at Nebraska?
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
My goodness gracious, he looks like a kid. Looks like just like an All-American. Well, his dad. Here's the interesting thing about it. We talked about Coach Wager, high school coach from Texas, being on the coaching staff. Well, when Matt Rule went to Baylor, he hired Joey McGuire, who was a high school coach, a very successful Texas high school coach, as an assistant. Well, Joey McGuire happens to be the head coach at Texas Tech now. So, he went from being a big-time Texas high school coach and assistant for Matt Rule at Baylor. Now he's running the Red Raiders down there. And Garrett McGuire is, in fact, his son. So, Matt Rule has, he's filled his on-field coaching staff. I'm sure that, there's only probably 37 more off the field positions that he'll probably fill, since he's going to run this as a real football program rather than poker playing buddies football club. So,
okay, wait a minute. Hold that thought. Matt Hansen's wide receivers coach is 23, so he can drink legally. But what you just said, Todd, buddies, is Matt Rule just hiring his buddies?
Well, that's what everybody wants. Matt Rule, maybe he is. I don't know if he's buddies with these guys, but he's familiar with these guys. He's got a history with these guys. And I don't see what everybody is all bent out of shape about hiring people that you've coached with before. Now, for Nebraska fans, it's easy to point a finger at the last guy. Well, the last guy hired a bunch of guys that didn't have that much experience coaching. And rumor has it, he wasn't particularly social with this bunch of guys that were his assistant coaches. In fact, it was some of those very assistants that were the ones that were complaining to the athletic department about Scott Frost not running the program in a positive direction. Scott was hanging with, his old buddy from Wood River and his buddy from Nebraska City and some of his other buddies that he'd collected over the years.
So what overall, we look at a coaching staff. What do you think overall of the Matt Rule coaching staff? I mean, we don't get a choice, right? It's not like we get a vote on him.
He's brought in people that he's familiar with. He hasn't coached with all of them, but he's familiar with them, and there's a blend of experience. I think he's got some people that have been under the gun, who have seen a lot. He's got a couple of guys that are a little crusty, and he's got some young guys that are going to, sounds like this defensive backs coach sounds like he watches more film than a Hollywood producer does, and so he's got a good blend. Good. The coaching staff's filled. Let's move on. Let's get ready for spring. They got a lot of recruiting to do yet. And then we'll see where things are at.
Okay, we're gonna catch up on some comments. Stephanie Jackson with the Big Ten. Stephanie Jackson says the Big Ten West was historically garbage this year. Bad time to have the worst coach in history leading the charge. That's yes.
Agreed.
And she
Yes.
also says this: France gets retired next year. What do you think of that, Todd?
Coach
He won
Ferentz
a
is going to,
he won a bowl game.
yeah, well, and they're going to put another banner up, another bowl game banner up. You know, Coach Ferentz is going to leave when he wants to leave.
That is true.
He's you look at the situation at Iowa, and 50% or more. Well, I'm going to say over 50% of the fan base wanted him gone 4, 5, 6 years ago. Gary Barta is not going to fire Kirk Ferentz. Not going to happen. There are people there that will argue that he's earned the right to decide when he leaves. Well, we've seen that turn ugly, i.e. Bobby Bowden, i.e. Joe Paterno, those types of things. But I think that the factor that will be in play is my gut feeling is that Brian Ferentz is going to be back next year. I don't think Gary Barta has the cojones to get rid of Brian Ferentz. And
Dude, go ahead.
And if Brian Ferentz doesn't make vast improvements with that offense and change his methodology, he's going to have a personality lobotomy for one thing. But if Brian Ferentz can't turn that offense around, then I think the heat is probably going to be so hot. I don't think that Kirk Ferentz is going to leave hang his son out to dry. And
Right.
It's Gary Barta that has authority over that position because of nepotism laws. But Gary Barta's got his head so far up Ferentz's yoo-hoo that
His yoo-hoo?
I was a little vulgar.
Okay.
Hoo-ha?
Listen. It's okay. Okay. Did you see Gary?
Roger
Did you
Moore.
see-
That is the quote of the year.
Oh, wait a minute. I need to make a comment first, and then we'll put it up there. Well, I'll put it up there now. Here, did you see Gary Barta's comment about Brian Ferentz?
I saw it, but honestly, I did not internalize it.
There was a quote about, he was asked about Brian Ferentz, and he said, basically, I will evaluate him, but the process will be the same thing that Kirk would use. And why would you say that publicly? I mean, honestly, unless you're a complete idiot, why would you say that publicly? Wouldn't you say something like, yes, I'll be giving Brian a fair evaluation as the offensive coordinator, and we'll decide where to go from here. You would say a non-statement, but basically you just came out and said, yeah, Kirk's going to evaluate him. You know what I mean? Just say nothing.
Exactly.
It's just so, I guess they don't have to care what people think. They're getting paid shit tons of money. All right. Roger Moore, for people listening to the podcast, says, Todd loves this line, Children's Hospital is waving for him to leave. So about Kirk Ferentz.
I think that quote should start our first quote Hall of Fame for the Monday Night Therapy. I mean, that is just an awesome quote. Can Cade McNamara save Brian's job? This is from MK. Well, he could, but Cade McNamara is going to have to play within the system that Brian Ferentz runs, and that offense where they throw the ball to the tight end, where they run those outside zones, that offense has succeeded in years past. It hasn't looked good the last couple of years. So I don't
I
know.
get my
You know, Cade
my
McNamara.
you know what my comment on that is?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
He can't save his job if all the receivers keep transferring.
Well, that is
You know,
true.
I mean, who is Charlie Jones is probably one of the best receivers in the Big Ten. You know, and he
Yep.
came out of Iowa, went to Purdue, and helped them win the Big Ten West. Uh, okay, I'm going to go ahead with this one. Todd Hilker asked, did that four-star player pickups today? He was going to announce, I believe he's referring to Cameron Leonard, who said he is announcing his commitment tomorrow on ESPN during the fourth quarter of the UA All-America game. The game starts at 5 p.m. I don't know if it starts at 5 p.m. Eastern.
There's 2 crystal ball picks for Nebraska announcing tomorrow. So
Now this guy's a defensive end.
yeah, and then there's a D-back too, defensive back.
Okay, here's your question, Todd, from James Marshall, who says the bowl opt-outs threaten to kill the bowl season. Can anything be done? My idea is for the NFL to drop opt-outs to the fourth round of the draft. Well, nobody would do that because the NFL owners are all greedy sons of bitches, and they are going to take every opportunity to draft the best players as soon as possible because it benefits them. So
yeah, NFL is not going to cooperate with the NCAA.
No, the NFL is only going to do things that benefit the NFL.
I tell you what, though, I don't disagree with you, James. I mean, you're absolutely right, spot on. I think the bowl opt-outs, they really do hurt the games, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to overstate this, or I'm going to try not to overstate it. I really wasn't all that interested in the bowl games this year. And I can't say that I was really all that interested last year. And while I was never of John's opinion, where every bowl game's a great game because it's another college football game we get to watch, I never had that opinion. But, you know, I used to get excited about watching a lot of bowl games. And I don't know, the luster's kind of off for me. And
okay, wait. Are you going to feel that way now that we go into the cold, dark horribleness of the off season?
I got wrestling, John. I got wrestling. You know, I don't suffer like a lot of people. So, but you know, James brings up a really good point, and I think something, you know, like the example I gave earlier, Nick Saban's boys played. They played. I think it's a total lack of respect for your teammates, lack of respect for your coach and coaches, your school. I think it's one of the most selfish things that happens. It's bullshit.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I was looking forward to Purdue playing LSU, and then everything was just, you know, shit. So, okay, what do we have up next? We're at 38 minutes, Todd. Do we want to go through these?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
We can talk about.
You picked 10. You picked 10. I didn't get quite to 10.
How many did you get?
I don't know. I just tried to counter yours. You took all the good ones. Okay, what we're talking about is this. Tonight's show's theme was the top 10, our top 10 predictions for Nebraska athletics for 2023. And what happened was, you know, Todd and I decided we'd become more organized. And if you can tell, we actually are more organized. I would like to try to figure out how on the layout of this thing that I can actually post tweets so people can get an idea of what I'm talking about. And I'm kind of working on that. If you've seen the couple reaction videos it did where I'm down in the corner, I'm trying to figure out how to use some software that will display it a little bit differently, and I'm really slow at this. I work on servers, not the user side of things. So it's,
well, I'll tell you, let's balance this a little bit. You read one of yours, and then I'll read one of mine, and then when we're out,
going in order. Are we going?
Well,
going in
we'll
order?
start at the top of the list, and I'll throw some in because I got some better ones at the bottom where you didn't add any. It doesn't look like.
I was going to make something up off the top of my head.
Oh, okay.
It'd probably be terrible. Okay, let's start at number 10.
Okay.
Go with yours.
Okay. Okay, so these are predictions for Nebraska athletics. No major sport head coach is going to be fired this year. They're all going to survive. Trev Alberts is not going to have to fire any head coach.
Okay. And my prediction that went along with that, because I tried to kind of stay along the theme of what you're doing, is I went way out on a limb and I said there will be less sorrow about Nebraska sports in 2023.
Well, I agree that that's going to be the case. And you know what? If the teams aren't playing so bad that you got to fire a coach, then there probably will be less sorrow. So I can kind of see how that's connected.
Okay, number 9.
Softball will make it 2 Big Ten championships in a row. They're going to win the second Big Ten championship in a row. And I'm saying that in large part. I know that they lost some pitching, but they're going to be solid. And Michigan's longtime head coach, she retired this year. And so I don't know that Michigan is going to be, that strong of a team.
Okay, mine to counter that was, as I said, baseball will make the Big Ten tournament. They did not last year, so I went way out on a limb this year and said, yes, we'll be in the Big Ten tournament. I haven't looked at baseball yet. That's not until February for me.
Well, I think that's a pretty good bet. They should at least.
Is it bold? It's not.
Well, it should be. Okay, here's my next one. And I'm really getting the cart ahead of the horse. I put it down as a prediction so that next year I can say it again. I can say, well, I was a year ahead. I really don't think this is going to happen in 2023, but I do think it might happen by the end of 2024, is that Trev Alberts is going to announce that Nebraska is adding women's wrestling as a competitive sport at Nebraska. And Rob Zadika's daughter is going to be the first one that commits to the team because she's one tough female wrestler up there in Elkhorn.
So what's the deal with female wrestling? Give us a little bit on that.
It's a good way for schools to get in closer in compliance with Title IX, for one. It's the fastest growing girls sport at the high school level in the country.
Really?
And
I did not know this.
It is. And Iowa finally sanctioned it. And every state around Iowa that bordered Iowa had already sanctioned it. It's been sanctioned in Nebraska for a couple of years now. And the University of Iowa is the only Division I women's team, and they will officially begin in the 23-24 year. They've got wrestlers there on scholarship. They're competing unattached. But if Nebraska does it right, they'll add women's wrestling.
It sounds interesting. Just a note on Title IX, just in case you guys, the understanding about Title IX is this. We have 22 sports. It's having Title IX compliance is not about having the same number of sports. It's about having the student body athletes, or the percentage or the number of student. Oh my God! Finish that statement, Todd.
It's having the percentage of scholarships represent the percentage of the student body. So if 52% of your students on campus are females, then 52% of your scholarships should be to females.
Thank you. Good job.
There you go.
Okay, wait. You're going to take this. You're going to take this comment from Beetle B. Hockey should be in Nebraska also. And look at what happened, Todd. You predicted women's wrestling, and I predicted someone will ask when the Huskers will start a hockey team. It literally, my predictions are already coming true, Todd.
They're already coming true.
My extremely bold, out on the limb, wild predictions are coming true. All right, number 7.
Chubba Purdy, Richard Torres, and Mike Pauley will all leave the football team prior to the start of the 2023 football season. That's 3 quarterbacks.
I'm not familiar with Mikey Pauley.
Well, Mikey Pauley is a walk-on from Overland Park, Kansas, and he also plays baseball. So he's got a backup plan. And so there's 8 quarterbacks. 8 quarterbacks.
We have a God.
And yeah, and some are going to leave.
Oh my God, I closed my screen. I'm lost. Okay, my prediction to counter Todd's prediction says Nebraska will find 2 more offensive or defensive line transfers before fall camp 2023. In other words, we will go into the fall camp in August with more offensive line or defensive linemen than we currently have right now. So I know I'm going, again, a bold prediction. Number 6.
Women's basketball will get at least 1 win in the NCAA tournament.
Do you think
They
that's
played
that's
pretty
kind of
good the other
bold?
night.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you watch the Indiana game?
I watched the overtime. I should have watched earlier than that, I guess. Yeah.
If you want to talk about officiating, my God, women's basketball is just so. It's like the Michael Jordan thing. If you ever touched Michael Jordan, it was a foul. If you ever breathed too hard on him, it was a foul. The home teams and the highly ranked teams, women's officiating drives me completely batshit insane. What did I counter with this? My bold prediction, and this is a bold prediction. The men's basketball team will get to a postseason tournament. Now I am going to put a disclaimer with that, as long as Derek Walker and Sam Griesel don't get injured. But I am looking at the Big Ten right now, and I think we're just going to win enough games to, maybe make the NIT, and that is
it's a postseason tournament.
It is, and that's bold. Okay, go ahead with your number 5.
My number 5 is a new and much improved Tunnel Walk song and video will be developed. And old fogey fans who believe that Bob Devaney wrote Sirius will write thousands of letters to Trev complaining about the changes.
So you want to change the Tunnel Walk?
I do.
What do you want to change it to? Do you have any ideas?
No, I don't have any good ideas.
Okay, well then we'll come up with stuff for a future show, because it's going to be a long season, when the bowls end and there is no college football. So my bold prediction to that changes during the game day atmosphere. I just closed this damn thing again. I got to get used to this software. We started using new software to track stuff. Where to go? The student section will be moved to the end zone above the tunnel so that they can be near their student athletes and sing the fight songs with them when the players leave the field. Move the students down to where the tunnel is so they can all meet together. They're all students together. They all go to classes. A lot of other schools do this, and it's fun for everybody, for crying out loud. And what I said, my last line in this is they will have fun and people will hate it, because apparently a lot of people hate it when you actually have fun and you're young. I kind of hate it sometimes. I hate it sometimes because I just resent the fact that they're young, and I'm not anymore. Okay, go ahead.
1 Husker wrestler will reach the NCAA finals, either Mikey Labriola or Peyton Robb. I think they'll have another one in the championship round. Ridge Levitt made it last year, got second. I think one guy will make it this year. So,
I didn't have one for this, but I'm going to make something up off the top of my head. Nebraska will have a baseball pitcher who competes for whatever the top award is for baseball pitchers in the Big Ten. And he'll be very young. Pitcher of the year, very young guy.
Okay.
I don't know who that is yet. We'll have to look later. Okay,
my next
number 3.
Football team will go bowling in 2023. The football team will go bowling in 2023. Now, maybe to a bowl game, or maybe it'll just be a team bonding exercise out at Sun Valley Lanes. But the team will go bowling in 2023.
My bold prediction is that Nebraska football, will beat Minnesota, Colorado, Wisconsin, and Iowa, but not Northwestern. I don't know, because that's how the mysterious Big Ten works. Number 2.
I said the volleyball team will play in the Final Four.
And I said the volleyball team will win the Big Ten. Because if you're going to say they're playing in the Final Four, I'm going to go with they're going to win the Big Ten. It's amazing how much pressure we put on our volleyball team.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Incredible. And it's incredible that they continue to play at such a high level. I'm going to modify my
You're going to
last one.
modify. Okay, you're
Yeah,
going to modify it on
because
the
I'm
fly.
not quite so confident. I'm going to say
What?
that Matt Rule is going to. Well, I'll stick with what I said originally. Matt Rule is going to
Okay.
bring in 3 5-star prospects to Nebraska in 2023.
And I did not come up with a number one to counter that, because my number one was going to be that we were going to go to a bowl game, but you took that. So we still have 55 people here. How many of you guys, how many of you think we're going to make a bowl game? And we'll see. Because here's one subject that I think that I'll bring up really quick. You have Sonny Dykes has TCU in the national title game. All right? 1 year,
Yep.
He is a first-year coach, right?
At TCU.
Yeah, TCU. Last year, TCU was 5-7. Now they're in the college football playoff or college football national title game. Oh, come on. Tulane. Who is it? Willie Fritz?
Yep.
He went from 2-10 to 10-2. Both of these guys are going to screw up everybody's expectations because they're both outliers of that big a turnaround. But the problem with outliers like that is everybody, and you can already see this on social media. If you go to Facebook pages like the Omaha paper, that other paper, what you're going to see is people mentioning Sonny Dykes did this in 1 year. Why can't Matt Rule? And I look at that and I go, what the hell is with people that they can't go? That is the exception rather than the rule. So we're already pushing this. You're already pushing this. Drink the Kool-Aid. All right, you know what? We should bring in some of these. Do you have any comments on that? And then we'll bring in some of the comments.
There's some really good ones that have been coming up here. And I want to echo what you're saying. I think that it's set up some incredibly unrealistic expectations. I read a lot on Twitter, especially. If Sonny Dykes can do it in 1 year, then Matt Rule can do it in 1 year. And those are outliers. Those are definitely outliers. And Sonny Dykes, he rolled sevens, or whatever you want to call it. That wouldn't be a good roll. His come out roll was a 7. He hit it because so many of those players were portal players. And the fact that, he was able to assemble a team that strong with so many unknowns is amazing, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to go through some of these comments. Let's see. Fong Wei Rodman, a regular guy who's here a lot, says Rule will have them bowl eligible with his eyes closed. With his eyes closed, Todd.
Yeah, well, eyes closed to me would indicate that it's easy. I don't think it's going to be easy. I mean, when I say bowl eligible or go bowling as a bonding experience at Sun Valley Lanes, that would indicate my belief is they'll squeak by, and that would be 6 wins. And, I've said it before, I hate putting numbers on things. My definition of success is Nebraska plays hard-nosed, tough, disciplined football, and they're better next year than they were this year. That's going to be my definition of success. And if that leads to 6 wins, then we'll be in a bowl game.
MK says the Nebraska travel industry needs this. They probably do. James Marshall says 7-5 is within reach of the program next year. Joel Tilson says Rule will bring discipline to the Huskers. I believe that.
I believe that.
We have had the same problems for years, though. Turnovers and false start penalties. Mike Riley and that other guy we fired. That problem has been around for a while. Matt Hansen shows that he's extremely intelligent and says, "I'm tempering my expectations." Vince Watson
That's
says,
kind of my opinion too.
Vince Watson says 3 or 4 wins more likely. And Matt Hansen comes back with not going to be easy with our roster at this time. That's why I'm thinking, if we pick up another offensive lineman or defensive lineman that out of the portal so they have playing experience and they have experience playing at the Division I level, I think that would go a long way to helping us be a better team. Joel,
One thing I would say, and it kind of relates to one of those comments you put up there. I'm not sure it involves I don't know how much it would affect the Nebraska travel industry, other than those that plan trips out of state. But I guarantee you that if Nebraska makes a bowl game next year, there will be a lot of Nebraska fans, and it won't be one of those empty ass stadiums like we've seen so many times over the last few weeks. I mean, it's horrible, the attendance at some of those games. Horrible.
what if it's the Pinstripe Bowl?
Nebraska fans will go to the Pinstripe Bowl.
Would you go to the Pinstripe Bowl?
Yes, I would. I would love it. I love New York City.
I've never been there.
Oh, New York City is so fun. I had friends that went to the Pinstripe Bowl when Iowa State played there a few years ago. And they put together some really interesting packages. In fact, on a day trip, they went up to up the Hudson River up to the Army, the military academy, and toured that place. So there's so much to do in New York City. Yeah.
Well, I spent a lot of my life taking vacations to the middle of nowhere, whether I was hunting or I was going to Boy Scout camps, or I went up to the Boundary Waters with my son one time. That's the kind of stuff I'd love to do, but nobody wants me doing that stuff anymore, so I probably couldn't do it anyway. Okay, Matt Hansen comes back with the Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if we went to the Bahamas Bowl and I wanted to go, Heidi would want to go. I'm guessing if she said the Pinstripe Bowl, you can go the hell by yourself. So, maybe we'll see that. Okay, 56 minutes. We'll come back and we're going to address some of this, what happened tonight on Monday Night Football, because James Marshall okay, what was the guy's name? Hold on a second. What we have is
Damar Hamlin, safety,
okay.
Buffalo Bills safety, Damar Hamlin.
All right, and James Marshall points out that it was just a clean tackle, nothing remarkable. Joel Tilson asked, was the Monday Night Football game suspended for tonight? Yes, it was. I think the thing about this, every week, I'm a heart attack survivor and a brain injury survivor, and every week I'm on Facebook groups, and literally every day on our Facebook groups for heart attack survivors and TBI survivors, we're dealing with people that just had heart attacks. And some of these incidents are horrifying and terrible. And it's amazing what people can live through and still pretty much recover their lives. But, the thing about it is I guess what I want to say is this stuff happens every day to people all over the place. I mean, I think there's some statistic like a heart attack happens every 40 seconds in the United States. So we don't know what's happening with the guy. I know that if you're on Twitter, one of the things about Twitter, and I bring Twitter up a lot here, is Twitter is the most amazing thing for live sports ever. I think it can be the funnest place possible. Well, when disasters hit or bad things happen, it's also the worst place possible, because everybody starts bringing in whatever they can, whatever the worst case scenarios are, because what we do is we catastrophize everything. We think about the worst things possible. And I guess that's evolutionary, goes back to us being in caves and thinking about what's going to kill us next. But I guess the only thing he could do right now is, hope that the guy turns out okay. But, we don't know. And, oh my God, I'm not going to read that. There was a Slack room that's really, quite frankly, irresponsible if somebody out on the internet, really stupid comment about the whole thing. All right, we're at 59, we're at 59:30. Anything else, Todd? Anything you want to bring up?
No, I'll tell you what.
Should we give people homework?
Well,
for
yeah.
Next week? We should?
Yeah.
What should we give them homework about?
Well,
We'll think about that and we'll start coming up with homework for
yeah,
people.
I guess I don't have a good homework assignment. We'll have to, we've only taken our first step.
MK says no.
um, we've only taken our first step towards better organization.
Better
Okay.
organization.
So
Yeah,
now
that's true.
we'll be better organized and we will
Okay.
be forward thinking. Okay.
Forward thinking.
Forward thinking.
Is that another term for progressive? What are you doing here? No. Okay, MK, we won't give you homework this week. And Matt Hansen says, John, can your dog eat my homework? You know what? My dog has eaten a lot of stuff this week. Like the rest of us. My God, there has been so much sugar. And look at this. Look at this. You see this? There are still cheese balls left in the Christmas cheese ball container. And it's really disappointing that not everybody was excited about cheese ball. The dog will eat these, by the way, because the dog will eat paper. She will eat paper, and she constantly eats the paper towels. And if you leave the paper plates around, those are getting eaten too. I don't know if that's common for dogs or what the hell the deal is. Ted Hilker says, I think I'll pass on the homework also. This would be fun homework. We wouldn't actually
We will
make
give
you
you fun homework. Fun homework.
yeah, we won't ask you to write an essay on why birds can fly over the Himalaya mountains.
No, we might ask you, to decide whether or not the new Herbie Husker mascot should have brown or blonde hair. Important
Yeah,
matters
things.
as it applies to the University of Nebraska.
Okay, Todd, we're going to have to address this because Terrible Just Terrible said this earlier about wrestling. Terrible Just Terrible said those wrestlers are losing 20 pounds just for like 50 people to show up at Devaney. And I know that you want to respond to that. And now he's also just said, I used to eat paper when I was cutting weight for wrestling. So Todd, at the end of the show, I want you to go ahead and, this guy is disparaging your favorite sport or one of your favorite sports. He is he's disparaging their life.
I'll tell you what, true, those guys are dropping a lot of weight. Some of them, 20 pounds or whatnot. But weight loss, weight cutting has changed so much since back in the day when I was wrestling and when I was coaching. These guys are in a lot better health. They're doing it the right way. For 50 people at Devaney, I tell you what, I've been to quite a few wrestling meets at Devaney recently, and there's a few more than 50. They draw a decent crowd, and if they bring in, a quality Big Ten opponent like Iowa or Penn State, if they, even Minnesota and Michigan and Oklahoma State, when they bring those teams in, the fans show up, and it's not a packed house, but it's a damn good crowd. And Nebraska wrestling fans are pretty passionate. So, yeah.
They also had the Minnesota and Iowa fans, and when they all get together, it's a great show.
It is a great show.
If you can get Rutgers in there, and who else?
Yeah.
Rutgers. Those people were crazy. Who else was crazy?
Well,
I don't think Illinois. Most of the other teams are not that crazy.
The Iowa fans and the Iowa coaches, they put on a show. They should bump the price of the tickets up just for the entertainment value of watching Tom and Terry Brands, particularly Terry Brands. There's a reason Terry Brands is not a head coach. The guy cannot. He has no self-control. None. Absolutely none.
Terrible comes back and says, I haven't been for a while. You should go. Maybe that's a part of homework, is to go to some Husker events, things that you have never been to, and come back and tell us about them.
There you go. Well, hey, John, we better sign off tonight.
We better sign off. Prayers guy, the NFL dude. Everybody hopes that he turns out okay and everything turns out well. Take care of yourself, Todd.
Hey, you too, John. Hey, good night, John.